Sacramento, California's state capital, and host to the 2025 SBD World's Strongest Man, where the fans await Group 1's qualifying round for a spot in this year's final. Hello and welcome to the 48th edition of the SBD World's Strongest Man. I'm Carter Blackburn, along with five-time WSM competitor Rob Kearney here in beautiful Sacramento, California. We have 25 of the world's top strength athletes competing in 5 brutal competitions to try and reach the final. Here in Group 1, it is a veteran group. They have all appeared on this stage before. So who are you keeping your eye on in Group 1?
I think the one everybody's looking at in this group is our reigning champ and 3-time World's Strongest Man, Tom Stoltman of Great Britain, coming in looking at peak performance as always. And one thing about Tom is he absolutely loves Sacramento. Having won here in the past, he's looking to really push for that top spot yet again. And he's definitely one of the names all of the competitors are looking at to fight for that top spot.
And Group 1 also features the singing strongman from Australia, Eddie Williams.
Eddie Williams is certainly a fan favorite. Coming in a little bit bigger than years past, he is looking to really push for a spot in that top 10. After just missing out on the finals last year in the Stoneoff versus Luke Stoltman, Eddie, in his 4th appearance at World's Strongest Man, seems to be in top shape to push for that top 10 spot.
Completing this incredible group are 2024 finalist Austin Andrade of Mexico, the lone American in this group, Thomas Evans, who is seeking his first WSM final in his 3rd appearance, and South Africa's Jaco Schoenwinkel, who reached the final 2 years ago. The first event is the loading medley.
In this event, athletes are up against 4 sandbags, each weighing 287 pounds. These sandbags ranging from 5 to 20 meters away from that truck, and they only have 1 minute and 15 seconds to complete the course.
Representing South Africa, Jaco Schoenwinkel. In lane 2, representing the United States, Thomas Evans.
First event of World's Strongest Man here, Jaco Schoenwinkel and Thomas Evans head-to-head on the loading medley.
And Rob, you pointed out that World's Strongest Man takes into account a lot of different measures of strength. This is a cardio challenge in addition to being a strength weight challenge.
Absolutely. I mean, these athletes have to be big and strong, but we have to look at their athleticism and see how fast they are. You see Jaco struggling there on that second sandbag, and Tom Evans taking advantage of that slip-up to try to get out in front.
And Thomas Evans is doing exactly that. Evans cutting a brisk pace.
Onto this 4th and final bag, this Husafeld-shaped bag for both athletes.
What a strong start for Thomas Evans of the USA. Loading medley is done, and relief and a deep breath for Thomas Evans.
Time to try to catch their breath after sprinting back and forth. Jaco getting all 4 sandbags in 50.34 seconds. Thomas Evans putting up a time of 48.58 for the athletes to try and beat. Thomas really relying on his speed and athleticism to carry him through. Luckily put him in the driver's seat after our first heat here in the loading medley.
In lane 1, representing Mexico, Austin Andrade. In lane 2, the 3-time and reigning SBD World's Strongest Man, representing Great Britain, Tom Stoltman.
Well, that is the introduction that Tom Stoltman deserves, the 3-time winner, reigning champion. And here is Tom Stoltman to begin in the loading medley. alongside Austin Andrade.
Austin is definitely known for his strength, but when you're going up against a guy who has strides as tall as Austin is, it is a tough feat to go against.
No pun intended, right? Strides and feats, but everything about Tom Stoltman is impressive in these competitions, the reason why he's a three-time champ.
Yeah, and he is looking absolutely dominant here coming out to start. You know, Austin in lane 2 giving a great performance, but Tom is just absolutely cruising through all 4 of these bags.
I mean, this looks like a walk along the riverside in Sacramento more than a challenging competition right now for Tom Stoltman. Meanwhile, Andrade is still trying to cross the finish line. And Tom's there to give him some encouragement. Well done, Tom. Sportsmanship moment here at World's Strongest Man.
It's a beautiful thing about this sport, and Austin with not a bad time.
Time of 53.33. Let's hear it for Austin Andrade.
Obviously was hoping to be a little bit quicker than he was.
With a time of 38.71. Let's hear it for Tom Stoltman.
And Tom coming out and putting on a blistering performance, just over 38 seconds here on this sandbag carry medley. Just going to show that he has put the work in to come back to Sacramento for another World's Strongest Man title.
Representing Australia, Eddie Williams.
Eddie, not only one of the most powerful men you will ever meet in your life, one of the most dynamic, but Rob, we know all about his singing, but Eddie is here to win, not just to sing about it.
He absolutely is, and Eddie has shown amazing growth over the last few years. You know, getting the opportunity to compete against him back in 2019, you know, he was a newcomer on the stage, and he has just excelled year in and year out. He's gotten a new coach over the last few years, and you can really see it paying off here with his level of fitness and how much it has increased over the past few years.
So how much of a legitimate contender in this competition is Eddie Williams?
I think Eddie comes in as the dark horse this year. I think people know he's improved, but I don't think they expect him to be as powerful, explosive, and dynamic as he is showing to be, especially in this first event.
44.70, a very strong posting for Eddie Williams.
0 seconds. The singing strongman, Eddie Williams.
And a great start here for Eddie. I know he's excited about taking second place in this first event. Typically an event he may not be near the top of the pack, but again, cementing himself as a possible favorite to make a shot to the finals.
And the three-time champ, Tom Stoltman, earns the win. He's with Kiana Martin.
Got a nice reception right there, but you said coming into this, you feel like you can dominate all groups in the loading medley. How do you feel like your time can hold up here?
Yeah, I need to just have a good time. It's not me versus 4, it's me versus 24. That's the mindset this year, and you know, I put down a good time, and let's see what happens.
And then you said you feel like you're a monster at World's Strongest Man. Have we seen a bit of that monster come out the box here?
Yeah, a wee bit. You know, you have to stay switched on for all 10 events this year, and that's what I'm doing. And let's put on a show because I'm here and I'm ready to win.
Ready to win and putting on a show, and they're loving it. Congratulations. We'll see you at the next event.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
A monstrous start. Great Britain's Stoltman in the lead with 5 points. Australia's Eddie Williams in second with 4. The lone American in the group, third place. Jaco Schoonwinkel and Andrade in 4th and 5th, respectively. Coming up, a classic test of strength that will test the athlete's raw power and resilience. It's the deadlift for reps when we return to the SBD World's Strongest Man.
The SBD World's Strongest Man on CBS Sports is sponsored by SBD, proudly supporting the world's strongest athletes, and by Connect, beyond maximum security.
Sacramento's beautiful river waterfront, the backdrop of today's competition, where the athletes of qualifying Group 1 are about to take on their second event, this grueling deadlift for reps.
That's right, Carter. This deadlift for reps is one that is absolutely a beast. Each implement weighing 771 pounds. Athletes only have 60 seconds to deadlift as many reps as possible. Most reps here gets the event win.
Representing
Austin
Mexico,
Andrade had a strong showing in event number 1, but he's going to need to be even better in this deadlift for reps competition if he's going to put himself on the podium at the end of the event.
And historically, Austin is an amazing deadlifter, a guy who has deadlifted over 1,000 pounds before, and that first rep coming up pretty easy.
You know, Rob, you say pretty easy, and you have a lot more experience, World's Strongest Man, than I do, but that does not look easy to me in any way.
Well, you know, I think all things are relative when we look at weight in the world of World's Strongest Man. But you can see Austin kind of hitting that wall. That is the one thing about this event. You know, we think 60 seconds may not be that much time, but when you're strapped into that bar, it seems like an eternity, especially in this heat.
And you can tell he's facing frustration right now that he's going to have to push through to remain a contender.
I think Austin certainly had a number in his head when he stepped up to that platform, but you can see he is pretty gassed out. Some of our judges coming out here to help him get out of that belt so he can catch his breath and start to recover.
And you know what? This is no small point how quickly the medical team was over there for Austin.
Here we have Austin going into his reps here. Again, those first few reps looking really solid, really fast, but again, just seems like he kind of hit that wall pretty quick. But 5 reps at 771 pounds, nothing to be ashamed of.
representing the United States of America,
Two
Thomas
great deadlifters
Evans.
about to step onto the platform. Thomas Evans, a previous NFL athlete, against Jaco Schoenwinkel of South Africa. Both have proven themselves before as amazing deadlifters, so it'll be fun to see them battle it out here.
Rob, this is an event, I mean, some events your casual gym goer may not be familiar with. I think we all know the deadlift. So we're counting reps here, and you can easily see those numbers being counted. But what do you keep an eye on beyond just a rep count as to who has the advantage in the competition?
You know, as an athlete on that floor, you have your peripheral open to see what the competitor next to you is doing, but you still have that number to beat in the back of your head. Both athletes already eclipsing Austin Andrade's 5, putting them ahead in the points. But again, we talked about that proverbial wall that these athletes are going to hit, and it seems like they are there.
So you see the reps to beat 5. They're both passed at 6. Now can anyone regroup and get to 7 to extend the lead here in Group 1? And this is where the conditioning and the heat of Sacramento, California comes into play. You've got to try and regroup at this point.
With 6 reps, let's hear it for Thomas Evans.
It looks like they'll both tap out, and I can say, as a guy that's done this before, to try to strap back in and do more reps after you've kind of come undone really is difficult. Jaco Schoenwinkel putting on a show through those first 5 reps, though, making that bar look effortless, same as Thomas Evans. Both athletes on 6 reps, gonna keep those points bunched up as we go into our next competitors.
And this promises to be another terrific competition between Eddie Williams and the reigning champ, Tom Stoltman.
Tom Stoltman, I think, is certainly known as the quote-unquote better deadlifter of these two, but Eddie Williams has certainly come onto the scene and proven his static strength even more over the past few years. So we're excited to see this battle go down.
The number to beat now 6. 1 clean, and yeah, you can hear the count too.
We can see 2 different styles here. We notice how at the top of his rep, Eddie seems to relax and let that bar go down pretty quick, whereas Tom seems to stay tight and engaged, and he's controlling that bar a little bit more. 2 different strategies, but it seems to be working out for both.
And how do you develop that over the years? Just trial and error?
A lot of it is just seeing what works best for you. I personally like Tom's approach here on this event. But you see Eddie over there repping out, getting number 7, Tom fighting for that rep as well.
Down, and that counts 7. And it looks like that's where we will conclude between Eddie and Tom. And they both post 7s.
I can tell Eddie is going to be ecstatic about that performance, taking second place in event number 1 and now tying Tom Stoltman. Absolutely amazing performances by both athletes, gritting their way through 7 reps. Now let's have a chat with Eddie Williams down on the floor with Kiana Martin.
Eddie, you tied in your group with 7 reps there. Tell me a little bit about just how that can set you up for success here the rest of the way.
With the first event, that really helped, you know, with all the nerves, being in a hard group, just being able to be consistent. And I surprised myself. I stopped counting at like 4. So yeah, just goes to show when you're in the zone, good things can happen.
Exactly, staying in the zone, but you have some friends that are Super Bowl champions. Yeah. Good friends with some Philadelphia Eagles, Jordan Mailata, and also Jason Kelsey. Yeah. And there is something that you learned from them. Hungry dogs run faster. Did that play through your mind during those final reps?
100%. I'm a hungry person, so I'm always trying to run fast.
Well, congratulations, and we're going to be watching you continue to eat along the way.
I'm in America. You guys got lots of food, so I'm ready.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
Tom Stoltman maintains his lead with 9.5 points, though the singing strongman Eddie Williams just a beat behind. Evans currently in third with 5.5, Schoonwinkel and Andrade in 4th and 5th. With 3 events remaining, will Tom Stoltman maintain his dominance and take the leading position into the final? The overhead medley is up next when we return to the SBD World's Strongest Man. And welcome back to Old Town Sacramento and the SBD World's Strongest Man. The next event for Group 1, the overhead medley.
4 implements stand in the way of these athletes, each object going from 199 to 370 pounds. Athletes have to lift these objects in order in only 1 minute and 15 seconds.
And Austin Andrade, he needs to rally here, right, Rob?
He really does. You know, he is an overhead press static monster. We see him on that log, and he completes all 7 reps in 1 minute, 13 seconds. So a good start for Austin here in the overhead medley.
Well, you can tell how pleased he was, so we'll see if Jaco can follow that up. Rob, I guess explain a little bit the different challenges of the different implements that Schoonwinkel and Evans and everybody else face in this event.
Yeah, you know, we have 4 different implements here on the floor for the athletes. They start off with this 199-pound dumbbell, obviously a little bit bigger than the dumbbells you see in your standard gym. Athletes have to clean and press this up to the shoulder and overhead for 2 reps. After that, they move on to the log press at 320 pounds for 2 reps as well, cleaning it up to the shoulders and overhead. And Thomas Evans making light work of these first 2 implements. After that, they are on to the circus barbell, 340 pounds, getting it up to the shoulders and press. And you can see Jaco in the back there struggling to get that log overhead and under control.
Dare I say this is the only place left where you will actually see a circus barbell, but nothing to laugh about here between Evans and Schoonwinkel as they try to close out before that minute 15 key mark.
And we see Thomas here attacking that axle, 370 pounds. That thick barbell making it tough to get to the shoulders, but Thomas having no issues and finishing the course.
And you see again, as soon as Evans hits a knee, the medical team is over there to evaluate, but
Let's hear it for Jaco Schoonwinkel.
So Jaco able to get 5 lifts in the event. And Thomas Evans getting all 7 in 1 minute and 5 seconds, currently leading. Thomas Evans was a pillar of consistency in this event. Took his time in between each implement and really set himself up for success here in the overhead medley.
Representing Australia, Eddie Williams.
So up next in the overhead medley, it is Williams versus Stoltman, which is turning into one of the key subplots of this 2025 SBD World's Strongest Man. Williams versus Stoltman.
I mean, we love some drama, we love some competition, and this will be a fun one to watch. Both athletes with a quick clean up to their shoulders.
And Rob, when you're in this competition, how difficult is it to maintain your focus on yourself rather than sneaking a peek at your competitor?
You know, I think a lot of World's Strongest Man competitors view this competition as you versus you because the only thing you can control is your performance on the floor. But I would be remiss to say it is tough to not peek over to that other lane to see how your competitor is doing because obviously this is the biggest title in our sport and every one of those athletes wants to win.
And when you're done with a certain competition, are you then looking at the leaderboard?
It's all about the end game. That's what these athletes want. They know the time to beat, and Tom Stoltman, blistering through the course right now, has that time to beat of 105, and it seems like he is gonna get there.
Wow, wow, wow. And he did it with ease. Williams trying to complete the overhead medley. Stoltman over to give him some encouragement as well. And that is apparently where it will end for Williams. Stoltman, a tremendous result in the medley.
Let's hear it.
Just absolute domination for Tom Stoltman here on the overhead medley, really trying to set himself apart from the rest of the pack. Finishing all 7 under 1 minute is just absolutely phenomenal and really making a statement for the rest of the field that are here this weekend. There we see Tom manhandling that circus barbell, showing why he is one of the strongest men in the world, setting himself apart from the rest of the group.
Stoltman continues to dominate, giving him a hefty 5-point lead over the two athletes currently tied for second. It's a tight race for the second qualifying spot, but they must get through the next event. For that, down to Kiana and Rob.
Carter, thanks. And we've got something brand new to the world's strongest man. And this big piece of steel is not here for nothing, Rob. What is this?
So this event is called the Titans Toss, and this is a kind of a play out of a strongman event that we've seen multiple times. We've seen the sandbag toss, we've seen the keg toss in the past, but now we're taking it a step further. Ooh. And I mean a few steps further. So these sandbags weigh 30 pounds apiece.
Okay.
And the thing with this event today is these athletes have to throw these sandbags from this mark over that bar that is 12 feet high, starting from 7 meters, walking all the way down, coming to our final sandbag at the 12-meter mark.
Okay, so what happens? Say that a competitor can't quite get it over.
Typically in an event like this, an athlete has been able to retrieve that sandbag and give that option a retry, but unfortunately, that is not the case. If you miss, you just have to move on to that next bag and continue on through the event.
Meanwhile, we heard the guys saying that they were sweating coming into this event. Maybe not some of their favorites. What kind of competitor excels at an event like this?
The athlete that's going to be best at this event is one that's centered around explosive power. These athletes have to work on their timing because we have to work on that trajectory to get this sandbag from here all the way over that bar, but also we need that explosiveness on every rep because again, only 30 pounds, but 12 feet high and 12 meters away, that is a big throw to ask of these athletes.
Only 30 pounds. It certainly looks easier than it actually is, and we're gonna see how these guys fare on the other side when the SBD World's Strongest Man returns.
There is so much history here in beautiful Sacramento, California, home of the SBD World's Strongest Man, where the athletes are about to take on this monstrosity. Rob?
That's right, Carter. These athletes have 10 sandbags they have to throw over a 12-foot bar, but those sandbags range in distance from 7 to 12 meters. Athletes only have 1 minute to complete this course, and they only get 1 attempt per sandbag.
Representing Australia, Eddie Williams.
And it has been a strong start for Eddie Williams. So in Group 1, Tom Stoltman is the biggest name, but Eddie Williams is putting up one of his best performances in the 2025 SBD World's Strongest Man. And what a toss to begin.
Yeah, he's looking to gain some momentum after a rough overhead medley, but you see him absolutely making these sandbags fly across that bar.
There are interesting aspects of every one of these competitions, but just to see the arc of these huge bags, Rob, it's incredible.
I mean, it is absolutely a thing of beauty. These athletes throwing with power, precision, and just absolute explosiveness here. Eddie cruising through onto that 11-meter mark, just coming up short. Only one sandbag left here, 30 pounds away from 12 meters. Foul. And you can hear the judge in the background calling foul, meaning he stepped over that line.
And yet that does not slow the celebration for Eddie, trying to break dance his way into more competitions, and a solid result, 8 sandbags, 35.66.
And the first time we're seeing this event in World's Strongest Man history, certainly an outcome he must be proud of. We've seen this event competed a few times before in different ways, but the first time coming out here on the floor, Eddie absolutely crushed that event.
Austin Andrade.
So for Andrade and Schoonwinkel,
Representing
8th, the number to beat.
Jaco Schoonwinkel.
Both athletes here need a big performance to try to climb their way up the leaderboard as we are inching our way closer and closer to the final event of the qualifying round to see who's going to make the finals.
8th, the number to beat.
No issue on those first two for either athlete.
We talk in each of these events how there's a different part of your body that is being tested. The back strength to bend and toss over your head is just phenomenal.
This is all about posterior chain explosiveness. We see Jaco hitting the crossbar. Austin's just scooting over.
Just short again. You see the 7 and the 7. 8 is the number posted by Williams, and it looks like 8 will likely hold up. Yes, indeed. So Eddie Williams, 8 is the number. Solid performances from Andrade and Schoonwinkel, but 7 sandbags each.
For Austin Andrade.
The interesting thing about this event too, Carter, is that time component does come into effect. We see here the points. Jaco Schoonwinkel able to get those 7 bags over in 25 seconds, beating out Austin Andrade's time, giving him an extra point in this event. And a spectacular sight, seeing those sandbags fly through the air, giving some excitement to this competition. More Titans Toss when we return.
Welcome back to Old Town Sacramento and the continuation of the Titans Toss. The next set of athletes includes Great Britain's Tom Stoltman, seeking his 4th championship win. Let's hear from him in his SBD Power Profile.
Tom Stoltman, 30 years old, 6'8", 381 pound, representing Great Britain. Coming into this competition, yeah, I feel good, very, very good. Physically strong, mentally strong, and last year I was over 400 pound. This year I've come in much more fitter and get ready to battle. I'm back in a place that I'm very familiar with, so yeah, I'm very excited to kind of get this show on the road.
The first Scot to become the world's strongest man, Tom Stoltman.
It's special doing this with Luke. We've both been training hard for it. Hopefully just keep riding this wave together and keep on turning up to these competitions and do the best we can, and that's what we want to give, is a show for the fans.
Right, Tom, come on!
He's in his element, looking in fantastic shape. You know, Tom's been putting in the work.
You know, my family, my wife, and just even seeing that gold trophy every single day in my house, it motivates me to keep getting better, to keep training harder than everybody else, and just to keep on top of my game.
Tom Stoltman, the rookie from Great Britain, 22 years old.
Over the years, the growth of Tom is incredible. You know, to that skinny boy that came along to 3 times world's strongest man. I couldn't be more proud of Tom, and I think he knows that. My motivation is just to keep bettering myself. I've already achieved more than I thought in the sport. You know, to sit here as the most successful British strongman at 30 years old is a pretty special feeling. This is Tom's playground. This is Tom's title.
Come on, Tom!
I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to battle, and that's what every other athlete should have, that same kind of mental attitude.
There's a different version of Tom that turns up to World's Strongest Man, and I'm always excited to go head to head.
It's not me versus Hooper, I think it's me versus all 24. I think this lineup on the new format of World's Strongest Man, lots of things can happen, but yeah, I'm focused on myself. I'm very kind of fixated and obsessed with being the greatest World's Strongest Man athlete of all time.
Rob, there's a lot of things we could say about Tom Stoltman, but obsessed was the word that he used there at the end, and we have seen it so far here in 2025.
Absolutely, and year after year, he seems to come back better and better, which is just amazing, considering he's already won here 3 times in the past. But this will be fun to see Tom Stoltman and Thomas Evans go against each other here in the Titans toss.
And oh, by the way, just in case you missed the statistic, 6'8", 331 now for Tom Stoltman, and agility to go along with the strength and the size.
I think that's what's most impressive about these athletes. Obviously, they are all monstrous humans, but to see how well they can move, how fast they can be, and their strength on top of it really is impressive. And we talk about impressive, look at how Tom manhandled that course.
Wow, Evans a 7, but Stoltman a 10. Manhandled.
Our first athlete to complete all 10 sandbags. Thomas Evans hoping to squeak this one over if he can, and falling just short.
Well, 7 is nothing to be ashamed of for Thomas Evans, but Tom Stoltman, and he is strutting along with the crowd's applause at that performance. Well earned.
9.06. Put your hands together for Thomas Evans.
Thomas Evans finishing the Titans toss in 4th place with 7 sandbags in 29 seconds.
31.97.
And Tom Stoltman, all 10 sandbags, 31.97 seconds. Just absolutely dominant here with every bag. He didn't hesitate, he knew where he was going, and he knew exactly how to get each of those bags up and over that bar.
Britain's Tom Stoltman has done it again, making it to his 7th World's Strongest Man final, leading 2nd place by 6 points. Eddie Williams currently in 2nd place, but Thomas Evans is only 2 points behind. Only one more event to decide which athletes will punch their ticket into this year's final. It's the Natural Stone Medley when we return to the SBD World's Strongest Man. The city of Sacramento, the state's capital, and home to this year's SBD World's Strongest Man. Up next, the final event of the group, the Natural Stone Medley.
And this event, we're going to see a press, a shoulder, a carry, and a load. 4 natural stones ranging from 271 to 400 pounds. Athletes only have 1 minute and 30 seconds to get through all 4 stones, and the fastest time wins.
I mean, Rob, there are intricacies of all of these competitions, but this is unique. Explain a little bit exactly how the Natural Stone Medley, you attack this as a competitor.
So we have 4 different stones the athletes have to attack here. We see that first from Austin Andrade, a 271 natural stone press, getting that stone from the ground to overhead. This next stone looks like a pill, and he's got to get that to his shoulder, 350 pounds, and show control when it's up there as well to get the down call from that judge.
And so these stones have to be placed stably. It cannot be a tale of a rolling stone?
That's correct. These athletes need to show control, get that stone to where it needs to go. And here we have a 390-pound Husafelt stone carry, getting that stone to the chest, walking around that barrel and back to that drop mat.
I mean, Rob, this is one of those events that just says world's strongest man because there's no uniform way to grip anything in this natural stone medley.
You're absolutely right, and you know what I would say? All strongmen's tales start with a strongman seeing a rock and being excited to pick it up.
Yeah, that goes deep into our culture, I would say, and a nice performance from Andrade. He is pleased.
Pumped up to get all 4 stones, that last stone weighing 400 pounds onto that platform. And he seems to be pretty happy finishing out the qualifying round with all 4 stones.
Let's hear it for Austin Andrade.
Austin here attacking that Husafelt carry, 390 pounds, getting it to the shoulder and around that barrel and back. He showed consistency through all 4 of these stones, which is really going to be a pillar to success in this event.
Jaco Schoonwinkel.
So a solid start by Andrade. Schoonwinkel will try and equal, possibly better the result, but the challenges remain the same here in the natural stone medley.
And I will say, part of this event, going later after a few competitors, there is a little bit of a competitive edge because you get to see how each of these athletes attack and really go after each one of these stones to see which technique is most efficient.
Schoonwinkel has to back off for a moment.
But we can see with these natural stones, they do not have any grip. The athletes have to really squeeze and get that stone onto their lap. We saw the previous athlete, Austin Andrade, making this 350-pound stone look light. But Jaco seems to be struggling.
I was about to say, you could put a side-by-side between Jaco and Austin and just this one stone, and the results are going to show it.
And that time ticking away, Jaco only having another 30 seconds on the clock to try to get this rep, and this is really going to be a make-or-break time for Jaco if he's trying to make it into the finals.
And it is not going well. You hear the count, only 15 seconds, and Jaco is going to tap out there. So very disappointing result in the natural stone medley for Jaco.
Let's hear it for Jaco Schoonwinkel.
Only getting 1 rep here with that stone press. An unfortunate end to Jaco's qualifying round, but opening up the door for Austin Andrade a little bit.
Representing the United States of America, Thomas Evans.
Well, if the United States of America is going to be represented in the finals, Thomas Evans needs a strong performance here in the natural stone medley.
A guy that centers around brute strength, hoping he can really pull through here and put on a performance. Again, we see Austin's time to beat 4 stones in 1 minute 25 seconds is no easy feat, and you can see Thomas struggling getting this stone to his chest into position to press overhead.
Well, if this is your first time watching the natural stone medley, Austin Andrade, as you said, Rob, did make it look easy. I think what we're seeing out of these other competitors, including Thomas Evans, just how challenging all around this event is.
Thomas losing that stone behind him, and I mentioned before that sometimes the athletes that are going later have an advantage being able to see athletes go before them. But it also can work in reverse. If you see an athlete unsuccessful in their attempts on their stone, there is a little bit of psychological warfare that happens, and you need to make sure that that doubt doesn't creep in to overpower your performance on the floor.
Evans is looking for stone number 1 and goes behind his back again, and you see the seconds ticking away. And Evans is going to post a 0 in the natural stone medley.
We see our head referee and 4-time World's Strongest Man champion Magnus Magnuson out on the floor, showing his support for Thomas Evans after an unfortunate finish here in the qualifying round, unable to be successful to lift that first stone.
The 3-time world champion Tom Stoltman closes out his qualifying round when we return to the SBD World's Strongest Man.
The SBD World's Strongest Man on CBS Sports is sponsored by SBD, proudly supporting the world's strongest athletes.
It's time for qualifying Group 1's campaign to the final to come to an end. Only 2 athletes remain.
Representing Australia, Eddie Williams.
Carter, we talked about it at the top of the competition. Eddie Williams putting himself in a great spot to make it to the finals this year. Going with that first stone, getting it to the shoulder, struggling a little bit on the chest. Needs that pressing power. And gets the down call from head referee Magnus for Magnuson as he makes his way to the 352nd stone.
Well, leading up to this competition in Sacramento, Eddie Williams talked about how he was ready to compete for World's Strongest Man Championship. Not just reach the finals, but compete and win. And Williams' performance so far here in Sacramento has backed it up, and he's continuing it here in the stone medley.
Eddie putting on a great performance here, making his way to the 3rd stone, that 390-pound Husafeld carry. As of right now, Austin Andrade, the only athlete to complete all 4 stones under that time cap. And Eddie takes a little bit of a stroll with that Husafeld stone, takes it just past to where he feels good.
Ladies and gentlemen, through to his first SBD World's Strongest Man final, it's the singing strongman, Eddie Williams!
And Rob, sometimes you just have to take a moment to appreciate something you've accomplished, and Eddie does just that. Hits a knee, takes a moment, and has the fist pump for the fans. You can tell quite obviously what it means to Eddie Williams.
You know, this means everything to each one of these athletes to be considered one of the top 10 strongest men in the world. The hours of training that goes in. We see his wife Hannah out there on the floor with him, supporting him. This is a dream come true for Eddie to make it to the World's Strongest Man final. A great performance through the first 2 stones, and he knew what he needed to do to solidify his spot into the final.
Well, a solid performance by Eddie Williams, but we know the man to beat, the reigning champ, the 3-time champ, Tom Stoltman.
And we see Tom Stoltman stepping up to the event, even though he has already solidified his spot in the final later this weekend. This year's a little bit different, Carter, because we are playing a new game with the qualifying round. Results from every event across all athletes will be ranked to give us a final result going into the finals. So every point matters, every performance matters across all 25 athletes this weekend.
So to reiterate, Stoltman has already made the finals, but this event counts just as much as any other. So all results matter, and therefore Stoltman trying to put up, tough tumble there here in the natural stone medley. So 1 down and struggling again with stone number 2.
I think this also just goes to show how impressive Austin Andrade's performance was on our first heat, with him getting all 4 stones in that 1 minute 25 seconds. And even though Tom has made the final, this performance on this event will be put up against all other 25 athletes, even the ones in other heats. So he does need to get some other points on the board if he wants to put himself in the driver's seat going into the finals.
So 2 stones down and just seconds remaining, but Stoltman will try and get number 3.
At this point, though, his energy is drained, and just trying to get down to that stone is absolutely taxing.
Well, that's not a bad result. 2 stones in the natural stone medley for Tom Stoltman. Already qualified for the finals, but another good showing in this event, the natural stone medley.
It'll be interesting to see how the points play out against all other competitors throughout the competition. Tom here ended up taking a knee with that 350-pound stone on his shoulder, giving him a tough time on that second stone. but all points matter.
Let's take a look at the final group standings. Tom Stoltman dominates the group, taking first place and the first qualifying spot into this year's final. Eddie Williams, our second place qualifier. The American Thomas Evans will take third in the group. 20 athletes remain to battle it out for a coveted spot in the SBD World's Strongest Man Final, with one of the strongest and most competitive fields in the history of the competition. For Rob Kearney and Kiana Martin, I'm Carter Blackburn. In association with 45 Live and Texas Crew Productions, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.